informed consent. When you sign up for a driver's license, you're asking permission. A gun permit, permission. A marriage contract, permission. Anytime you sign a piece of paper with the state or federal government, you sign it under penalty of perjury, right? You're entering into a civil contract with a government, right? That is under Roman civil law, not common law. So you therefore don't have to have everything fully disclosed to you, and you don't have to knowingly, intentionally, intelligently, and have fully informed consent, right? You just step into it. You step into shit up to here, and you don't even realize it because you're in love. All right. So technically, under common law, there is no contract. Under Roman civil law, we're fucked. Okay. There's another way to look at, he writes, as the marriage license contract with the state is a contract of adhesion, a contract between two disparate, unequal parties, it's a flawed contract. That is, the state demands a superior position. Again, it's under Roman civil law. That's just how it works. You can't get out of it. You're screwed. Okay. Consideration on the part of the husband and wife to the state is the actual fee paid and the implied agreement to be subject to the state statutes, rules, and regulations in all court cases related to the marriage law, family law, children, and property. He emphasized, that's the court administrator, the black guy who was teaching this guy about the contract, he emphasized that this contractual consideration by the bride and groom places them in a defined and definite by law position inferior and subject to the state. He commented that very few people realize. He also said that it is very important to understand that children born to the marriage are considered by law as the contract bearing fruit, meaning the children primarily belong to the state, even though the law never comes out and says so in so many words. And that is why children, the state can just come and take your fucking children now. This is just kind of an aside. You know, how can the Child Protective Services, CPS, just show up at your house and determine all by themselves that you're a bad parent and they'll take your kids? Well, those children came about as the fruit born under that contract, and therefore the party superior in the contract has jurisdiction or control, ownership, in other words, over kids. That is how the state is moved in. He goes on to describe it as this: it is vitally important for parents to understand two doctrines that became established in the United States during the 1930s. The first is the doctrine of parens patria. The second is the doctrine of in loco parentis. Parens patria means literally the parent of the country, meaning the state is daddy. To bring it down to layman's terms, I need to hydrate with some scotch. Okay. Technically, the marriage license is a business license, allowing the husband and wife, in the name of the marriage, to enter into contracts with third parties and contract mortgages and debt. They can get car loans, home mortgages, and installment debts in the name of the marriage, because it is not only a secular enterprise, but it is looked upon by the state as a privileged business enterprise as well as a for-profit business enterprise. The marriage contract acquires property through its existence and over time, it is hoped, increases in value. Okay, this is why marriage should be avoided by every man, Mgtow or not, but especially Mgtow. Understand the 5 no's in life. No women, no children, no animals, no debt, no excuses. Isn't that right, Hairman? All right. You see, when you enter into a marriage contract, you bring the state into your house, right? You agree that you're going to abide by additional rules. By remaining single, you avoid those additional rules and penalties and control. Now, because men, Mgtow men particularly, have been avoiding marriage, and they have for quite some time, the state, through its statutory civil power began to apply common law, saying this is a common law marriage because you've been shacked up with a woman long enough to establish the fact that if you live together under the same roof, you must be in a common law marriage. And then they turn around and say that because your status is married, we are now going to overlay on top of that, not the common law, but this civil law. And this does not apply to just the United States of America. It applies to many, many, many countries. So you can't even live with a woman for too long, or you will end up under these rules. Now, the guy goes on to say, the marriage license as we know it didn't come into existence until after the Civil War. Oh, you mean like the 1860s? That's about the same time that first wave feminism here in America really started to get some traction. Funny. Right? And didn't become standard practice in all the states until after 1900, becoming firmly established by 1920, second wave feminism. In effect, the states or governments appropriated or usurped control of marriages in secular form, and in the process declared common law applicable to marriages abrogated. Now, where the rubber fucking meets the fucking road, fucking, this pisses me off, right? Where the rubber meets the road is social engineering. When I say it's not just about you and a woman, there is an agenda that has been at play, and it has progressed through time. The states have become more and more involved in our lives, creating contracts through licenses. That's exactly what a license is. It's an agreement between you and the state, and the state always declares it as the superior position. Then, because you are now in a contract with the state, any contractual disputes have to be seen in a court. And we're not dealing with constitutional court, we're dealing with civil court, family court. So you don't have constitutional protections. The government can declare that you are to pay that woman as much money as the court says. The state will tell you if you can or cannot see your kids and how much. The state will say you have to pay X amount for your children. Now, in defense of the state, they try setting up guidelines to make it uniform, to make it understandable and predictable, so that people, when they go see an attorney, they can get an idea of what it is they're going to expect in a divorce and afterwards. But at any time, a judge can change the rules of the game. It depends on how much money you make. It depends on how long you've been together. It depends on whether the fucking judge likes you or not. It depends on how good your lawyer is. It depends on how smooth your lawyer is. It depends on how bitchy your lawyer is. Right? All of this, right, speaks to an agenda that pushes and pushes, and that is why men no longer, we don't enter into a marriage as the superior party, as the person who makes all the money, who has all the skill, who has all the intelligence, all the ability, who builds and builds and builds, because that's what men do. Men now enter into the marriage contract as the weaker party. Fact. You enter into the contract as the weaker party because at any point, for any particular reason, she doesn't even have to show cause. That is in the past. Women would have to say, he's not taking care of me. He abused me. Right? Promises were made that didn't happen. Right? He's cheated on me. His infidelity. Right? Those are reasons or cause to get out of the contract, to negate it. Right? To nullify it through court action. But now you enter into a contract. As soon as you sign that dotted line, she's got you by your fucking nutsack. And the longer she stays married to you, the more she's entitled to. The longer you stay married to her, the more wealth you try and build.